Do you ever feel like you're stuck in a loop? Busy, exhausted, but somehow unfulfilled? Maybe you've checked all the boxes society told you to, built a career, started a family, chased those big goals. And yet, here you are, wondering why life feels like it's slipping away while you're running in place. Here's the hard truth. No one tells you. Busyness doesn't equal progress. And if you're in your 30s or 40s, this is the exact moment when many people hit what's called the midlife dip. That unsettling realization that you're climbing the wrong mountain or drifting through a life that doesn't feel like your own. But here's the twist. It doesn't have to be this way. What if I told you that with a few small shifts, you could stop feeling stuck and start living intentionally? That you could break free from the hedonic treadmill, stop living on autopilot, and design a life that actually feels meaningful. These aren't just empty promises, they're lessons. I wish someone had told me when I was in my 30s and 40s. Lessons that could have saved me years of frustration and regret. In this video, I'm going to share those 3 life-changing lessons with you. They're not about working harder or adding more to your plate. They're about seeing your life differently, asking the right questions, and making small, intentional choices that can completely transform your future. So, if you're ready to stop drifting and start creating a life you love, let's dive in. Have you ever felt like your life is slipping through your fingers, no matter how hard you try to hold on? It's like you're running on a treadmill, chasing the next goal, the next milestone, but never actually getting anywhere. That's exactly how many people in their 30s and 40s feel. Caught in the busyness of life, overcommitting to everything, and yet wondering why satisfaction seems so far out of reach. It's a frustrating cycle, isn't it? But here's the thing. You're not alone, and there's a way out of this loop. Now, imagine hearing this from someone who's been there. At 52, I've lived through the same struggles. Feeling like time was slipping away while I was busy checking off boxes, building a career, raising kids, and following all the right plans. But somewhere along the way, I realized I was climbing the wrong mountain. I don't want you to look back on a lost decade like I did. That's why I'm here to share 3 lessons I wish someone had told me when I was in my 30s or 40s. Lessons that could have saved me years of drifting and helped me course correct sooner. These lessons aren't about working harder or squeezing more into your already packed schedule. They're about seeing your life differently, asking yourself the right questions, and making small course corrections that can lead to massive changes. So, if you've ever wondered, whose life am I really creating here? Or who do I want to become? You're in the right place. Let's dive into the first lesson, one that might just wake you up from the autopilot mode you didn't even realize you were stuck in. Life on autopilot can feel deceptively productive. You've got your color-coded planner, your to-do lists, and your routines down to a science. From the outside, it looks like you're winning at life, hitting all the milestones, raising kids, paying the bills, and maybe even squeezing in a workout or 2. But here's the catch. When you're so focused on checking off boxes, you might wake up one day and realize you've built a life that doesn't even feel like yours. It's like following a recipe perfectly, only to discover you don't even like the dish. Sound familiar? This is what psychologists call the hedonic treadmill, that endless cycle of chasing the next goal, adapting, and then chasing again. You're busy all day long, but are you actually moving forward? For me, the wake-up call came in my 40s when I realized I'd spent years climbing a ladder that was leaning against the wrong wall. I was so focused on what I thought I was supposed to do that I never stopped to ask, do I even like this? Is this really my life? That's when I learned the power of hitting pause and auditing my life. It's not about tearing everything down. It's about making small, intentional course corrections. So, how do you start? It's simpler than you think. Take a moment this week to pause. Yes, actually pause, and ask yourself, am I living the life I want, or the one I think I'm supposed to? Maybe it's as small as saying no to a commitment that doesn't serve you, or as big as rethinking your career path. You don't have to sell everything and move to Tuscany unless you want to, in which case, invite me. But those tiny pivots can save you from waking up at 52, wondering where the time went. And speaking of pivots, let's talk about something even more powerful than goals, your identity. For years, we've been told to set goals, SMART goals to be exact. You know the drill. Specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound. And sure, they work, to a point. But here's the problem. Goals alone don't create lasting change. You can hit a goal, like losing 10 pounds or running a marathon, but if your identity doesn't shift, you'll find yourself right back where you started. It's like patching a leaky roof without fixing the foundation. The real transformation happens when you stop asking, "What goal should I chase?" and start asking, "Who do I want to become?" Here's the thing, your identity shapes your habits, and your habits shape your life. Studies show that when people anchor their actions to their identity, they're far more likely to stick with them. For example, instead of saying, "I want to save money," try saying, "I'm someone who is financially intentional." Or, instead of, "I want to lose weight," say, "I'm someone who prioritizes health." It's a subtle shift, but it's powerful. When you believe you are the kind of person who makes healthy choices, those choices become second nature. You don't have to force it, it's just who you are. So, how do you start redefining your identity? Begin by voting for the person you want to become with your daily choices. Every time you choose to read instead of scroll, you're casting a vote for being a reader. Every time you prioritize rest over overcommitting, you're voting for a healthier, more balanced version of yourself. These small, intentional actions add up over time, tipping the scales until your new identity feels as natural as breathing. And once you start aligning your identity with your actions, something incredible happens. Your goals start to take care of themselves. But there's one more piece to this puzzle: time. Let's talk about how it's slipping away and why that's not as scary as it sounds. Here's a sobering thought. If you're in your 30s or 40s, you've already used up about half of your 4,000 weeks of life. Let that sink in for a moment. It's not meant to scare you, but to wake you up. Time doesn't run out all at once. It drips away in tiny increments while we're busy scrolling, overcommitting, or saying, "Maybe next year." And before you know it, another decade has passed. But here's the good news. Midlife isn't the beginning of the end. In fact, research shows that life satisfaction often follows a U-shaped curve, with happiness increasing after 50. If you're intentional about how you spend your time, the real danger isn't running out of time, it's drifting through life without clarity. Think about it. How many times have you said yes to things you didn't really want to do, just because it felt easier than saying no? Or how often have you put off something important, thinking you'd get to it someday? The truth is, someday isn't guaranteed. But here's the reframe. It's not too late to course correct. Whether you're 35, 45, or 55, you can still design a life that feels meaningful and aligned with who you want to become. It starts with asking yourself, what truly matters to me? So, what's next? Start by auditing your life. Where is your time going? What's adding value? And what's just noise? Maybe it's time to let go of commitments that don't serve you, or to finally take that leap you've been postponing. The key is to act now, not later. Because while time isn't running out, it won't wait for you either. And remember, you don't need to overhaul your entire life overnight. Small, intentional changes can create a ripple effect that transforms your future. Speaking of transformation, let's tie everything together with the lessons we've covered so far. Let's take a moment to bring it all together. The 3 lessons we've explored aren't just ideas, they're lifelines for anyone in their 30s or 40s who feels stuck, overwhelmed, or like time is slipping away. First, stop living on autopilot. Audit your life, question your routines, and make small course corrections to ensure you're building a life that feels like yours. Second, focus on your identity, not just your goals. Who you believe you are will always shape your habits and choices more than any checklist ever could. And third, remember that while time isn't running out, it won't wait for you either. The sooner you act with intention, the more meaningful your life becomes. But here's the real question. What are you going to do with this knowledge? Will you keep drifting, hoping things will magically change? Or will you take that first small step toward designing the life you truly want? Maybe it's as simple as saying no to one unnecessary commitment this week, or taking 5 minutes to reflect on who you want to become. The power lies in those small, intentional choices. They're the building blocks of transformation. And the best part? You don't have to do it all at once. Start where you are with what you have and let the momentum build. Now that you've heard these 3 lessons, the real question is, what will you do with them? Will you keep living on autopilot, letting time slip away while you chase goals that don't truly matter? Or will you take a step back, audit your life, and start making choices that align with the person you want to become? The truth is, change doesn't require a massive overhaul. It starts with small, intentional actions. Saying no to what doesn't serve you, redefining your identity, and taking control of how you spend your time. These are the building blocks of a life that feels meaningful and fulfilling. So, what's holding you back? Are you ready to stop drifting and start designing a life that feels like yours? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear which lesson resonated with you the most. And if this video spoke to you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who might need this reminder. Let's create a ripple effect of people waking up to their potential and living intentionally. Before you go, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell. This is just the beginning of your journey, and I'll be here to guide you with more insights, tools, and strategies to help you reinvent your life. Don't wait, your best life starts now. Let's make it happen together.